don't have a Messiah. I don't know what their plan is. Uh, if we let this displacement happen, and by we I mean Muslims overall, and I would strongly point towards Egypt, Jordan, and Jordan, uh, the lands that they are uh, trying to claim are not just Gaza and West Bank. It's going to go down to the delta of Egypt. It's going all the way down to Hijaz. They are next. If Gaza falls 5 years, 10 years, 15 years from now, the lands that they are holding on to, that Israeli army is going to take or fight for those lands as well. Nothing's going to stop. Nothing is stopping them now, and nothing's going to stop them then if we do not, or if they do not react. The displacement is as such.
I just want to add something what Sid have said. I mean,
Yes,
and
please,
I
please
agree on
go ahead.
some points, but I would suggest that we, instead going towards too much conspiracy theories or some prophecies and bring too much religion into this, that we look at these matters as hard realpolitik. So in that matter, I agree on some points what Sid has said, because we need to look at the subject when a nation, what we call right now Israel, has so much free wild card from the entire world, especially the Western world, and can do and act everything without any punishment. This is also a risk for the entire region. Why? Because we have seen in history several times that nations or empires who have no any competitors or no halt anywhere, or there is no punishment for them, especially in today's world with like United Nations Security Council or the ICC. So who will guarantee, like Sid has said, that tomorrow the Israelis will not be at the doors of Syria or Turkey or Iraq or Iran or maybe even farther? So this is a risk, of course, going slowly, but there is also another point we need to look. Even when Israel will look after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, when there is no voice to stopping them, looking as a winner in this war, I think this time, after the attack of Hamas inside of Israel, in the heart of Israel, have shown for the first time the weakness of Israel and their preparedness. That is the one thing. The second thing is the Israelis, how they have reacted towards this. Let let be all the other bad things by side, what was done from Hamas. How they react to this will leave a very bad image for the future of the region and neighboring countries. Maybe they cannot act today because all the mainstream media in the West is blackened, and there is a huge pressure, especially coming out from the United States of America. But what will they do after 10 years, especially with the cracking United States, who is no more able to get the same strength in every corner of the world like it was for 20 or 30 years ago? What will they do after 10 years, 15 years, when they are alone without the United States of America help or the European help, because they have their own problems and they will become more problems internally, be it sociologically or economically? What will do the 8 million, 10 million Israelis, especially with the demography of a 40 plus years of age and youngsters running out of the country going for startups in San Francisco, Los Angeles, not coming back? What will they do with these surrounding enemies? This will be hell for Israel. That's why it is actually the right time also for the Israeli state and Israeli people to think about a viable two-state solution according to the United States Security Council Resolution 242 in 1967, um, to create this atmosphere of peace. Because They can tell anyone about terror operations. I have never seen, as an expert in that field, that the terror operation, any terror operation, is going over an entire region and bombing any building there is existing, including hospitals, and killing in 1 week over 8,000 people. I have never seen a terror organization who has members of 8,000 people living on the same place. That's bullshit. So, in that regard, Israel needs to ask himself how long they are prepared to continue this kind of war and creating every day more enemies in the region, more anger, more hatred towards them, especially in regard of their demography, with their age problem, with their industrial problem, and even their geographical problem. They are disadvantaged. So I think really the Israeli nation needs to go back to the table and find a diplomatic solution. And if they are not able to do it, especially with the Netanyahu regime, who is going whole radical right now, at least the international community should pressure them in some way to find the solution. I think it is the right time because otherwise, what we are talking today about the Palestinians, I'm sure, and write this down, we will talk in 10, 15 years about the Israelis. And I don't want to hear that because I don't want that any human being is hurted in any way. And we have to find this peace. That's very important. Thank you very much for the idea giving, Sid. That's my point right now. Thank you.
But Harun, I have a few questions from you. Do you think that there
Of
is
course, of
a
course.
solution anytime soon? So, in regards to like our previous conversations and so far what we've discussed, what we've basically discussed so far is the problem, and the problem is there, and it's been persistent, and it's been for a long time. I understand that. Over the decades and in history, a lot of different proposals have come. A lot of people like to put theology into it. A lot of people want to put historic perspective into it. Some people look at this, view this as a issue of colonization. Some people view this just from apartheid. Uh, don't you think all these things need to be considered before and brought onto table before a solution can also be even can exist to be spoken about, or how should I state it? But anyhow, what do you think?
Of
Like,
course,
what is the
of,
solution?
of course, it's more difficult to make peace than going into war. But the question here is what I'm saying always. There are many, hard points right now around the world, be it in Ukraine, be it in Kashmir, be it in East Turkestan, and the Rohingya, and so many, flaming points around the world. But when you look into the depth of the matter, none of these was solved until now. Why? Because, you know, hatred brings only another hatred with itself. You cannot fight with weapons and eliminate the freedom of an entire population. This is this is not about Hamas. If it would be only about Hamas, I would maybe on one hand understand the Israeli security perspective. But what the Israelis are using for many decades is a collective punishment. Their idea is these lands where they are right now, and especially occupying, are given right for them. That's what they are thinking, most of them at least. There are also Israeli people who are still rational but have no voice inside of Israel. When you think like that, that this land is belonging to you entirely, uh, you will never come to a solution because you have in front of you millions of people who does not agree to this point. And you cannot just go in and ethnically cleanse all of these people. It's not possible. Mathematically, it's not possible. You can bomb 50 bombs, 50,000 bombs you can drop there. They will still be alive. If they are not still alive, their children will be alive to this hatred. So you cannot solve it. The only security or the only viable solution is the peace because from the perspective of Israelis, the Israeli population need to ask for themselves how long this will continue.